I'm going to start this video out by saying rest in peace to Trevor Moore. I'm going to take a big hit of this. Let's talk about it. And the shit we're going to be talking about is the times that I have gotten high at church. I've talked about this before. I grew up in church, spent a lot of my childhood praising the motherfucking Lord, okay? This first story takes place at a Christian rock concert where all the cool kids go, all the coolest kids. So it was called Acquire the Fire. And if you were into Skillet or 1,000-Foot Crutch, it was the motherfucking place for you. Like all church events, you know, they'd rock out for a fucking minute and then they'd like give their testimony about how they stopped jerking off because of Jesus and shit, and everyone would start crying and like clapping and shit. Overall, it was a beautiful thing. I understand and I appreciate the fact that some people were putting that on for kids who were into that kind of music. But also, if I'm going to a concert, I'm getting fucking high. And that's what I did. So we pull up to the church at like 8 p.m. They load us in buses and drive us down to the venue. I had an eighth in my pocket and a empty can of soda to make a pipe. Here's the plan. My genius big brain came up with the best plan ever. It was like some heist shit. I'm going to wait until the band stops playing. I'm going to hit the pisser and I'm going to get high in there. And it kind of worked out pretty close to that. So the band that was playing was called Super Chick. I don't know why I still remember this. You should bump some Super Chick for me. Or not. I probably honestly recommend not, because it should be called Super Mid. You feel me? Anyway, so Super Chick fucking quits midding out all over the place, like on some like super terrible shit. I don't even know what the fuck that was, to be real. And I decide, I get brave, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, there's lots of people going to the bathroom. I can probably get this figured out. You know, like I can use a distraction. If there's a lot of people in there, the blame's not all on me. You know what I mean? I can make this happen. And I was brave. So I fucking went for it. I tell my youth pastor, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to go hit the pisser. He's like, all right, bro, bet. You just let me know when you're back, you know, because they had to keep track of all of us because, like, you know, fucking religious entities be stealing kids sometimes and shit. I make my way to the pisser, and I get it rocking. I go into a stall, and I start loading up the little can that I had. First, I had to take the fucking pop can lid off, poke the little holes, poke the carb, get that bitch ready to go. Don't smoke out of a can, kids. It will, like, give you AIDS or some shit. It does something bad to you. Everyone says not to do it, so don't fucking do it. So I get the pipe ready, and I decide to kind of give it a second. I know that there's people in the stalls next to me, and luckily for me, I heard the most thunderous ass clap of all time as this fat gentleman next to me sits on the toilet. Homeboy's ass sounded like Miles Davis, bro. It was a fucking trumpet, like... That's the kind of shit it was on, and it was like the stinkiest shit I've ever smelled in my life. Like, imagine you, like, fucking rip your fucking intestines out with the shit still inside of them, rip that open and do a fat line of the shit inside of your intestines. That's kind of what it smelled like. And I was like, this is perfect. Now no one will be able to smell the loud because all they can smell is his ass. And it worked out great. I smoked a bowl. I smoked another. Obviously, I'm just hitting it all at once. Ghosting that bitch. You know what I mean? I'm fucking going in. Ghosting that bitch. After the second bowl that I smoked, I get kind of nervous, you know, as you do when you're getting high in public bathrooms. So I throw the can in the toilet, close the toilet, fucking keep my weed in my pocket, take it out of the pocket, throw it in my sock. Big brain move. Big brain Devin. I exit the stall, and as I'm exiting the stall, I walk past my youth pastor. Bro, I definitely seemed high as shit, and he had to have known. Like, if he didn't know, he was bad at his fucking job. Now, I don't have a lot of stories with happy endings, but this is one of them. I got back to my seat. 1,000-Foot Crutch came on. They started their set with Phenomenon, which is my favorite 1,000-Foot Crutch song. And I rocked out with my fucking crock out for Jesus. It was beautiful. Shout out to Jesus. All right, next story, boys. So, this next story takes place at a church overnight lock-in. If you grew up in church, you know about these. If you grew up in a youth group, you know about these. They're basically like a teen pregnancy convention because you're locking a bunch of hormonal teenagers in a room. And because you're in a church, a lot of them have very strict parents. And these kids be feeling their hormones, their dicks be getting hard and shit, and they don't understand it. So sometimes things happen at these events. And I was ready for something like that to go on. So before I went to this lock-in, I had a giant smoke session with the homies. And then I get a call that my main friend, like my best friend at church, got grounded and was no longer allowed to go. I already was on my way when I received this news. I had weed. I brought weed for me and him to smoke together. Like, bruh. So I pull up to church, high as shit. And immediately, you know, everyone's outside. They're playing games. My favorite game we used to play at church was called Ninja. The way it works is you go like this. 1, 2, 3, Ninja. And then you like make a pose. And then you all go in a circle. And then like you try to like smack each other's hands and shit. Bro, that shit was a lot of fun. And when you were super high, that shit would be super intense. It felt like I was like in an Olympic sport. Like fucking... That shit was crazy. It was a lot of fun. After we played games and shit, I was fraternizing with different people than usual because, again, like, my best friend wasn't there. So I had to hang out with, I don't want to say this, it sounds fucked up, but, like, second choices, you know? I was just kind of kicking it with other people, just kind of talking to people. I was mostly talking to girls because, like, something about me at church is, like, I had hella bitches at church, bro. Like, I don't know what it was. I was, like, a emo kid around this age. Like, I had, like, blue hair, like, down in the front. Fucking spikes in the back and shit, dude. Like, bro, like, I had bitches, okay? I had church bitches. I start hella cupcaking it up with a group of these bitches, you feel me? Like, I was like, fuck it, they're my friends for the night. I'm hanging out with them, you know? So we go inside and we begin, like, our worship session, where that's, like, where you sing songs for Jesus. And, like, it honestly, like, the music isn't bad, you know? Usually they have, like, a live band of talented people, and they're just kind of performing cover songs. And honestly, like, it's always like a touching experience when you're in a church and it's during worship. Like, you feel that connection, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful, you know? And I was always the kid that would be screaming the words, fucking jumping around, like, fucking going hard. Like, dude, like, the music to me has always been an amazing way to express my feelings, both via creation and listening. So, me believing in this God and feeling these lyrics, it truly was like a beautiful experience. And I was high as shit, which made me really feel the spirituality running through. Something about church bitches is they love motherfuckers who worship hard. So they saw me going hard during this whole endeavor, and after worship and the service ended, we were just kind of left to kick it, you know? Like, they didn't give us a bedtime, they just said we couldn't really leave, you know? So I start kicking it with these bitches, and look, y'all, I'm about to be a married man, so I'm not going to go into super disgusting details, but I definitely touched my first vagina that night in the middle of this process. Bro, I don't think I washed my hand for like 2 weeks, bro, just every fucking day. Bro, like, I don't think I washed my hand for weeks. All right, this part's like probably not relevant for the rest of the story, but fuck it, dude. I just want to tell y'all, I touched my first vagina at church. Shout out to Jesus. So a couple weeks before this, my youth pastor caught me smoking a cigarette behind the church. Okay, so he knew I was a smoker. He even told me, he's like, dude, I get it. Like, that's a real addiction. Like, you're, like, obviously you've been smoking for a long time. Because when he caught me, he searched my pockets and I had, like, a half-smoked pack. Like, it was obvious, like, I am a smoker, you know? So I decided I'm going to walk up to him, man to man, and ask him if I can go smoke a cigarette. I was just trying to smoke some of the weed that I brought with me because I was on such a fucking high anyway from touching my first vagina. I'm like, bro, fuck it. I'm making this day amazing, you know? So I go up to him, I let him know, like, hey, brother, like, you know about, like, the... And he was like, yeah. I'm like, is there any way that I could go out and smoke real quick? He gave me the okay. He walked me out. And he was like, all right, I'm going to leave this door unlocked. You come right back in this door. Make sure you lock it on the way in. He showed me how to lock it. He gave me the okay. Boom, bam, I'm a motherfucking genius. I walk out into the field by our church to smoke the cigarette because, like, he did tell me, like, make sure no one can see you, you know. So I walk out into the field and I take out my fucking weed. I also brought a Bible with me. Ripped a fucking page out of the Bible. Fucking rolled a joint in the Bible real quick, you know what I mean? This was already when I was like a fucking stoner, dude. I had the quick rolls. I could fucking... Like, it was literally like a 15-second process, and I just got that bitch going, you know? Like, I didn't even care if it smoked right. Like, I just wanted to smoke real quick, you know? So I light the cigarette. I get the fucking joint rolled. I like that too, and I'm kind of... I just totally burped. As I'm smoking, I turn around and I like look at the church real quick. I see a group of people walking towards me. Fuck! Is kind of what went through my head. So I toss the joint down, stomp that bitch out, relight the cigarette, fucking just start blowing it all over me so they smell that instead of fucking weed, you know? Because that's more explainable. Like, I got the okay. Like, I'm not going to get in trouble for smoking a cigarette when the main guy told me I can smoke, you know? So I relight that bitch I'm smoking, and these people walk up. It's all of the bitches I was with that night, as well as a couple other friends of church. And these motherfuckers gave me a cigarette intervention, bro. My youth pastor sent them to talk to me about smoking and how bad it is and shit. So they give me an intervention. They're like, Devin, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna die. And like, honestly, I was like, okay, like, don't threaten me with a good time, but whatever, you know? So at this point, I realized like, okay, like I'm kind of fucked if I don't play into it. So I say, you know what? You're right. I'm never gonna smoke again. Smoking is for losers. I'm never doing that shit again. So I threw the cigarette down, stomped it up. I figured that getting caught was like a potential situation. Cause like, as I said, like I got caught a couple weeks before smoking cigs. So I only brought a couple cigs with me. I ripped up that pack, stomped all that shit out, knowing I had more at my crib in the morning, you know, like, so even though it would suck for a little bit, it was gonna be fine. I was also a child, so getting cigarettes was hard, you know? We walk back in, and I'm, like, celebrated as, like, the fucking Jesus hero of the night. Fucking everyone's talking about how great it is that I found Jesus and it made me quit smoking, you know? So now I'm getting even more fucking church bitches. So, like, ultimately, all this intervention did was, like, help me out, you know what I mean? And then I kind of fall asleep, wake up the next day, go home. First thing I do when I get home is smoke a cigarette. I've been smoking every day ever since. Have a good day, guys.